Hello people, I'm back and I have another thing I want to add to my little population of frogs here, and that is croaking frogs. Now what I want to build, and again I'm just starting recording this and I have no idea, well, just a bit of an idea of how I'm going to do this. What I want to build is that when you're around as a player, and you're not within the vicinity of the frogs here, you can hear them. You can hear them croak in the background. When you move closer, let's say this is the player again, and you enter their region of influence, or well, the region where they appear, I want the croaking to stop, because that might feel like they're suddenly aware of your existence and shutting up suddenly and jumping if you come too close. If everyone has jumped and you left the area, croaking should gradually increase every time with the time that you're away. Because if you're away for like 6 seconds, a single frog will have virtually appeared. If you're away for like a minute, then 10 frogs will have appeared, and you should actually hear more frogs when you walk by than when you have just left. So to make this work, I have already gathered a few croaky sounds. Let me show them to you. Just 3 croaks. Should work. And I was thinking of just building in a little daughter system to this. Let's croaking. This should use values from the Frogs Manager to decide if how many croaks there should be, for example. I think this will be another scripting episode. Let's see. Let's call this. This feels like something I want to use more often. I could use this for like frogs in the pond, but also for like birds in a tree, for like bees in a nest. I don't know. The Frog Manager is very specific in the way frogs behave with the jumping in the water bit and stuff. This feels like it should just base the number of sounds it produces on the number of whatever's present in the system. So I will call this swarm presence. And I should really have called it swarm presence audio, because this will just be audio. Let me. Oh, it's already opening okay. Audio. Save. Close. Go back and call it. Let me click audio. There we go. Just waiting for the compile. It compiled now 2 times, once for editing it in VS Code and once for renaming it here. And this can go onto this here. Okay, this will be, I fully assume, a very thinky episode. Let me see. But let's try and keep it basic. I'm thinking, do I need a trigger for this? Because I probably only want this to happen and run while the player is in the area to hear it. Right? I think so. And that means that I can just add another trigger. Okay, let's do it like that. So it can... This is a spawn trigger, that's not... location spawn trigger. This is just... Let's rename this into a player trigger. And let's duplicate this as a child of the croaking system. Let's remove this cube here, because else we will have two cubes with the player tag in the area, and that will just lead to problems. The player trigger for the croaking is like much bigger. So let's see. I guess I wanna hear the frogs everywhere within this area, more or less, and actually, I think also here. And I think also here, maybe. Okay. So let's remove the functionality that's on here now. Let's see, the trigger by player is good. And for this cube is broken. I think whenever the player is in the area, this trigger will make it easy to just have like a trigger every half second that updates the amount of croaking that should take place. And for that to work, we will need to have a specific update function here. Update audio presence. Yes. Now the difficult part with this is, I guess, to somehow figure out how many frogs there are. Because if I am gonna use this elsewhere to, how do you say? When it's not dependent on a frog manager, then how do I get this to read out this value, the count of the hash set here? Or do I increase that count? I don't increase the count of the to-be spawned frogs if we're not actually entering the area where the frogs are. Here I spawn in the extra frogs that should be there when you make visual contact, so to say. This thing is for when you're further away, purely audio contact, and it should have a way to figure out how many frogs it should simulate. So every half second it should check on the frog manager how many there could be. Maybe this is time to make an interface. So let's make an iSwarm manager. I don't think if this is the right place. I don't know if this is the right place to explain what an interface is. Maybe you kind of discover it in the way I set this up. I'm not gonna fully explain it. I'm just gonna set it up and explain along the way what I'm doing. I don't do this often, by the way, so bear with me if I get stuff wrong. I think... Hey, I'm missing an R here. Public interface could not be found. Okay, interface. Oh, it's got a small I. Okay, with an interface you can define like functions that should be on an object, like on the Frogs manager. Because it's a swarm manager, and the I swarm manager is like a it's usual to put an I in front of interface names. So I'm just continuing the tradition, just so you can pick them out easily. A Frogs manager should be a swarm manager and should have the function called public int integer. It should return an integer, and the function should be called estimate swarm count. Why is this not good? It's not valid. Oh, right. I think a swarm manager is a interface has all its values be public. So now if we say to this frog manager that you're also a swarm manager, ooh, wow, that's very wrong. I swarm manager. It throws an error because I have not implemented that interface. Estimate swarm count. As soon as we implement that interface, int estimate swarm count, and obviously when we return something, then we're good. And what we can do to return, well, we can just use this here, partly. Let's see, this is part of what we return. What we also want to return is, wait a moment, this is going to be a bit more difficult than I imagined. A few parts to what we need to return. Obviously, the count so far, plus this bit here, but with this duration here should actually be this here. Let me think. I think this can do better. Time player left. Let me have a quick little think here. I want to make my code a little more elegant than duplicating all this stuff here. What we can do is float player left duration is like mathf dot max between time dot time minus player time player left like so, which is just this float virtual frog count. That's we're calling these virtual because they have not actually been spawned in, and that's actually that same duration. Oh, this should be an integer. We should cast it to an integer here. Player left duration. Player left duration times spawns per minute divided by 60. Right? But to make this is the virtual frog count. Should be limited by the frogs that are already there, minus 10. Oops. So this should also have a maximum. Max mathaf. Let's have mathaf dot max between this and there's no max value in here, sorry. Maximum between that and max frog count minus frogs dot count. Right? Because when the max frog count is 10 and there are 10 frogs, and this is 0, so this should be a minimum. Then it doesn't matter how big this goes. If this goes bigger and there are no frogs, and this is 0 and this is 10, and then the minimum between 50 million and 10 will also be 10. So the virtual frog count is now limited by the count of the already present frogs. And this makes this might look difficult over here, but it makes my code so much more clear over here. Estimate swarm count is just return frogs dot count plus virtual frog count, and every time I check this number, it will just run this function, which will probably run this function, and everything should be good. Now we can also change that over here. Duration isn't needed anymore. Frogs to add, I want to remember the frogs to add here, because it might decrease because this here increases. So frogs to add here should just be virtual frog count. And then we limit it again over here to make sure we never go over the value, and in spawn single frog we limit it again, so there's sanity checks all over the place now. Should be very good. Let me think. This just makes sure that the duration between the current time and the time that the player left is never less than 0. Because that would do very weird things. You'd have a negative virtual frog count. Okay, let's first check that this actually didn't break anything. I should really have pushed this into a collaborate. I didn't do that, so I don't have a backup if I have broken stuff here, but we'll see. how many frogs are we actually spawning right now? 3,000. That should be quite enough. So there's our 3,000 frogs. This still all seems to work. Let me think what may have gotten wrong here. I can't imagine anything else than just the spawning getting broken by this. Because all I really did was change this here into this, which I took from the function here. So that should be good. What I can try is see, just to make sure everything still works. What happens if we spawn 10 per second? Yes. Every 6 seconds a new frog should appear. 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still 2 because I accidentally wiggled my cube a bit. 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's 3. This all works. Cool. Okay, back to the matter at hand. We now have a swarm manager, which has this function. Yes, swarm presence audio can now have a field with that interface instead of a reference to an object. So, public swarm manager swarm. Yes. There we can fill in a frogs manager, and we can call on int count equals swarm dot get was it get estimate something? Now I don't remember what I called the function. Let's see. Estimate swarm count. So that's how interfaces work. The green squiggly line here is because VS Code didn't really register my addition of this manager correctly. If I restart it, it will remove that line. So never mind that. So now we have a croaking manager. Let me compile. Yes. Come on. Come on. We have a croak. Oh, wait a moment. Can't I have an interface as a public variable? Huh, what happened here? One moment. Do I throw any bugs? No. Oh, okay. I was... I'm quite sure that I did this before. Public ISO manager spawn, public void update audio presence. Let's see if we can actually reach that function via here. Swarm presence audio, update audio presence. Yeah, we want to run that every 5 seconds, every half second when we're in the audio. So this is set correctly. But I'm puzzled a little. I was quite convinced that I could have a public interface to a... Wait a moment. I should probably define that this is a mono behavior. Yeah, I think that's it, but I don't know the syntax of this anymore. Okay, let me get back to you later because I have to fix this up a little. I did a little Google search outing, and it seems, although I can distinctly remember from having used this trick before, it seems Unity doesn't handle public fields of a type interface type. So what I'm gonna do is change this up. Game object swarm, and use I swarm manager swarm, and then let's do that over here for now. If not the swarm, then a swarm is swarm.get component and I swarm manager. I am quite sure that this is also not equals no. And then swarm. This may crap out if we assign a game object to swarm that doesn't implement this interface. So we absolutely need a tooltip here. Make sure behavior with an interface of I swarm manager is added to this swarm object. This should work. So we have an interface of iSwarmManager that simply only implements this function, and we assign a game object to the swarm presence audio behavior that looks in, and we look inside that game object if we can find an iSwarmManager interface component. And let's see if this works. And let me see how my recording is going. Cool. Yeah. This works, so we can drop in the swarm in here. And let's do something simple for now. The update audio presence debug.log. The but log. Oh, making a mess again. Estimated swarm count is then count. Just a debug function to see what happens. Huh? So in this case, since we're dealing with the big croaking area here, I'm not sure if this... Oh, let's put you over here for now, and the scene over here. I'm assuming this will only work when we have first left the area. And now we enter again. Yeah. Look, every half second it is estimating a swarm count. If we move away, Yeah, there's one. And there's two. So every 6 seconds, there's a virtual frog spawning in here, as you can see. 5. So there should be 5 frogs now. Boop. Quickly, let's pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Cool. So interface works. We can now, as long as we're in this area, we will keep calculating on the frogs manager how many frogs there could be if we were to visit the area. What are we gonna do with that number? I'm not sure yet. Yeah, we'll generate croaks, obviously. Let me think. Because this now simply updates the audio presence. Another function that we will need to have public here is public override. Let me think. You want to have like a function enable audio, and you want to have a function like disable audio, like so. Oh, that should be a void function. These are the states that you can trigger. And the funny thing now is that the triggering here is a bit complicated, because yes, can I please have my stuff now? We wanna on enter here. Wait a moment. Every 5 seconds we check this. We shouldn't enable the audio every 5 seconds, obviously. So we're gonna copy this component. No need to copy. Let's just add another easy trigger. This one triggers not every so many times, but this just triggers on enter and checks at start if the player is there. And if it is there, it will enable the audio. If the player leaves, it will disable the audio. That's good. So we just simply use 2 trigger scripts here. Shouldn't be a problem. And now there's another thing. As I told you, I actually want the frogs to shut up when the player enters, like their presence, so to say. I don't want the frogs to make a sound when we can see them. So, do we do that with this trigger? Because that would also mean that the frogs shut up before you get close to the door. But I think I should really try that. So let's trigger here that when the player enters this trigger, that the croaking stops. And when the player exits the trigger, the croaking may start again. Yeah. Now there's another edge case to keep in mind, and that's that the player leaves this trigger, so the croaking starts, but is not but is already outside of this trigger. This is an edge case that I think we should cover. in this case. We can simply cover that by making it bigger. So if the player leaves here, unless they're instantly transporting, which they actually can't do over here, because there's no teleport no place to teleport here. This is not accessible in the game. The player should be able to leave this area, so the audio starts, and he should always still be in the croaking area. Okay. Now, for now, I think I'm just gonna add a few sounds to the croaking area, and I'm just gonna rip off this sound here because it's already set up now nicely. We don't want the froggy splash here, we want the croak. Right? So I have one sound here. Croaky croaky. What happens if this is on loop? Let me listen. Don't be scared, it's gonna get loud. I don't hear it. Okay, this deafening. This is a bit hopeless. I can't hear anything here. Let me just put you on play on awake and loop, and this one, sorry, this script is what made it stop probably. But I'm gonna check in VR anyway, because it's way too loud with the radio. The radio is over there, and it's I think I attenuated by player distance, but that obviously doesn't work when you press the little audio preview button here. So I now should have a looping croak here. Let's spatialize it. Okay, I'm just gonna check it out in VR. One moment. Yeah, this is kind of nice. And it should stop when I get here. Oh, no, that is not yet implemented. Well, see, I can't teleport over there. But the sound is good. Now, systems. Because this is obviously not what we want, this continuous thing. But I'm imagining that I will just put a simple script on here that takes care of some nicer randomization of the sounds. I think what I'm gonna do is something simple. Here's this form that we defined. What if I'm gonna give this one a list with game objects, and this we call presence objects. Okay. Then it doesn't even matter that we're dealing with audio here, because all I'm gonna do when we enable and disable the audio, let's see, let's do another iSwarm manager thing. Int get max swarm count. I don't think an interface can implement like fields, right? No. Interface cannot contain fields. But can you contain a get setter? Yes. This is okay. So max swarm count. So now in my interface I've defined that this frog manager should also implement a property getter for this value without a set. So this one will crap out. Cool. I'm gonna do that over here. Public int maximum swarm count, and that will just return max frog count like this. And I think I'm gonna do that here as well, just because I like this notation. This is just my interface definitions. Now I have an error in Swarm Manager, because this should have a getter. Yes, and and then we can do it like this. And then let's change this up into estimated, because this doesn't need to read like a verb anymore. And then we save it over here, and we save it over here, and this should still work. Meanwhile, my neighbors are having another fight, so I'm getting a bit distracted here, but let's just continue. How far in are we now? I think we're already 40 minutes in, because the past thing was already 20 minutes, I think, before I stumbled into the beautiful interface issues with Unity. But let's continue, because we're working towards a result here. What I think I'm gonna do is, in Swarm Presence Audio, we now have a list of game objects called presence objects. I imagine it like this. Say I give this Swarm Presence Audio a few of these. Let's say 4. And we should actually give these the random audio on enable script, because I love it. And then we lock these up, and we go look for our new croakies, which are these. And if all is good now, these all are set up in the same way, but when enabled, they will all play a different sound, and if they play the same sound, they will probably play it at a different pitch. So these are now 5 objects that represent the various voices of my frogs here. Let me just spread them around a little, because it's nice. Like so, and like so. And what I'm going to do is just fill those objects in here. And every time we update the audio presence, I'm gonna make a simple function. So, if the swarm is at maximum capacity, I want them all to turn on. If the swarm is 0, I want none to turn on. And in all cases in between, I want some of them to turn on. I think I'm gonna just for each through all of them. So var op in presence objects, and I'm gonna run a counter saying t is 0, c and t plus plus should be the last one. Do I want a chance in here? Might be nice to have like a random chance here. Let's skip on random stuff here for now and just make this work first. If count is okay, let's do it very wrong first. Up.setActive is count is smaller than s is smaller than count divided by swarm dot wait, I think I want a you know what? I'm gonna figure this one out off camera and get back to you in a moment because this is taking forever and I'm boring you. Be back in a few minutes. Alright, sorry guys, it was, I think, a simple thing, but I may still have it wrong. I'm just doing this now. If the presence, which is a factor between 0 and 1, times the number of objects that I use to, well, in this case, to produce audio for the presence. So I have 5 sources in my scene. If presence times that is bigger or equal than the count, and I'm just counting through the objects here, which I also could do with an indexer, then we set it to active, and else we set it to inactive. And the simple thing should be now that I could also run that over here. Audio presence. And if we disable the audio, we will just for each up in presence objects up.set active false. Why is this crapping out on me? No reason at all. Cool. I think this already could work. So let's get ready to test it while Unity compiles it and doesn't found any errors. Right. I can't keep them selected. I have to select this one. So keep an eye on these objects here when we run this. In the beginning, none should be activated when we're in the reactive area. Now if there's one, oh, there's one too many here. This one should go. So there are now 2. Why does this not update? Oh, it does update. It just takes a while. It's very, very, very fucking loud. Cool. And now there's like 5 of those sounds running through each other. I have no idea if you can still hear me. Okay, let me stop this. I think it works. So what's happening here? Whenever the player is within this area, it keeps checking on the frogs manager how many frogs there should be. And then according to a percentage of that number to the max, so to say, so let's say 5 of possible 10 frogs are present, it will enable half of these, which is a bit odd because, you know, there's 5. So I guess it would enable 2 of them and then 3 of them when we reach 60%. Well, you know how it goes. Now the thing is obviously to make the croaks a bit softer, because this is wild. Let's see. Oh yes, these are 5 croaks. The volume can go down. We have a random audio here on enable, and let's think. We're looping. I want to build something in that, because we're now looping endlessly through the croak, and I think we should build something in that these beasts only croak every now and then a few seconds of silence, and then a few seconds of croaking again. How to do that quickly, I don't know. I think that is something for a next video. I'll just go test this out. Well, not in VR. I'll keep testing this out with the trigger thing here. Just the sounds. Let me hear. So now there's no one there, but that's also because we're not in the presence area. If we enter the presence area, over here, 1 is there, 2 is there, 3 shall come shortly. Yeah, there's number 3. We leave the area, and they fall silent in a very inelegant way. If we re-enter the area, there's already 3 there. Oh, they started jumping. That's nice. Okay, and now what happens if we move close? Because they should shut up. They don't shut up. Why don't you shut up? Huh. Let me check. Because I'm using a trigger here. We're enabling. Oh, right. No, not right. Check at start is good. We have our trigger here. This should actually force the croaking to stop. Why doesn't it stop? On enable audio presence, it updates the audio presence. On disable audio, it should run through all the objects and set them to inactive. Ah, Ah, I get it. Because every half second we update it here. Okay, let's have a boolean here. Is active. That should probably be false. If not is active, then here we crop out. If we're enabling ourselves, we put is active to true. And if we're disabling ourselves, we put is active to false. That should fix that. Okay. Okay, waiting for the run. Okay, let's enter the area. I think it works. So we're over here and we hear one frog croaking. Second one joining in. And when we leave the area, they just stop. They should obviously get softer. Now we re-enter the area. In the meantime, there's 3 frogs. But we come closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, and they simply shut up when I come too close. And I move away again, and they start croaking again. One moment, I wanna have this also in. Wait, you go outside the area now, please. I wanted to see this in VR, how this works. Just by means of ending my video in a nice note, a sing-song note. I will have to leave the area first to trigger the frogs, because I'm now not the cube, I am now the actual player. So I think it's more or less here, so I'm entering the area. I hear not much. I actually kind of hear nothing. They are there. Ooh. Aha. The area was quite... This is still the area. Okay, I wasn't actually outside the area. Really? I think the area is a bit too big here. Okay, so I come close. They all stop. This is a bit weird. Okay. it has a certain awkward charm to it, I guess. But that's not right, guys. I should really make that behavior a bit different, because this is like they have a sixth sense for me. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try come up with another idea to make this happen. Probably keep a lot of this, but for now this should be enough for the single video. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Wait a moment, I thought I killed you all, scared you all off. Huh. I think there's still a bug in my code, because there's no frog here now, and there's sound there if I leave. Okay, enough for now. See you around. Bye bye.